Hello guys, and welcome back to Amakado online training. My name is Nita, your physical and online instructor. It's been a long while, or has it? For today's class, we are going to be making the dress you're seeing on your screen. So it's just a simple fitted gown, right, with a twist belt at the waist cut together with the dress itself. Okay, I just loved the style. I'm sure you have a lot of it, loads of it online, but this is my version, of how to make it. It's pretty easy to make, and it's very straightforward. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Click that subscribe button. Show me some love. Show me some love. Encourage me on this journey. And if you haven't turned on your notification bell icon, please do so. So whenever I upload videos like this, simple, do it yourself, easy to make videos, you can also get notification for it. I hope you will enjoy this journey with me. So let's get started. Really, we're using nothing much. Okay, so I have my ruler here with me. I have the straight rule, I have the curve rule, I have my you can use pencil in your case, I have my tip with me, I have my scissors because I'm going to need it, and I also have my paper tape. You can use your scotch tape, as well. Okay, so I have taken a liberty. It's actually going to be a patterned thing because we need to actually do a little simple slash and spread to get to what we want to do. All right, so I've taken a liberty to draw a top line. I'm always a freak for margin line. If you watch my previous videos, you know I do that a lot. Okay, so I have drawn my margin line, and I have also drawn my center line. Okay, so this is my center line, this is my top line. Okay, so now all measurement is going to start from here. So I'm sure this is going to be my front, I think, and then my back. So to get going, all right, how am I going to get my box, my basic box, right? My basic bodies, rather. It's a rectangle. That's what I'm trying to form. I'm sure I have video on this before or thereabout, but let me just make a quick explanation, okay? So I'm going to use the biggest part of my body, which you should use yours. Mine is my hip. That's the biggest part of my body. And I'm going to divide that biggest part of the body into two to try and get this rectangle I want to, okay? So when you divide it into two, you're going to add plus 2 inches. I'm adding plus 2 inches so I have enough space to work on my side. Now we're going to have a bust that, okay? So I will have enough space to work on my bust that, all right? So you have your hip divided by 2 plus 2 inches. That is what is going to form the box for you. I'm going to be using 50 in my case. Now 50 divided by 2, you have 25, isn't it? So plus 2 inches, we're going to be having 27. So I'm going to take a measurement from my point A. This is my point A. I know you may not see it properly, but please just follow what I'm doing. It's pretty easy. Okay, so my point A, I'm going to measure 27 inches, and I'll still have half of my 27 to create this box. Okay. Okay, my ruler doesn't have up to that, so I'll work with my tape. So my line is not long enough. I'll increase it. Okay. So my 27 is actually somewhere here. It's actually all the way okay. Then I also need to mark the middle of my 27. Okay. So 26. You can actually use plus 1 inch as well. You don't even need the 2 inches. So the middle of that is 26 is 13 and a half. Half of 27 is 13 and a half. So I'll also mark at 13 and a half. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to extend my line so that I can have that. So that's it. So you're going to use that to create a box. So I'll do that now and I'll come back and show you. So I'm going to keep marking that all the way down. So I'll place it. I'll mark 13 and a half, which is half of the 27 for me, and then I'll mark 27. Now you're going to take this measurement all the way to whatever your length of your outfit is going to be. Mine is 50 inches, so I'm going to take my length of 50 inches, okay, and I'm going to create this box. So I'm going to have 50 inches by 27, and then you mark the middle point. Please listen well. Length of 50 inches, that's my dress length. A width of 27, and then divide it into two. So the box is going to be the front and the back, right? So if you can notice, I have my front, right, and I have my back as well. So that's what you're meant to do for this pattern, okay? So for this pattern, what we need is going to be the measurements needed for this is going to be my bust, my waist, my hips, my hip depth, my half length, my shoulder, okay. I'm going to need my bust height in the process, okay. I'm going to need my what else do I need? Of course, you need your dress length. And then if you're going to be adding a sleeve to it, you need your sleeve length and you need your round sleeve measurement. Some people call it the bicep, okay? So you need your round sleeve. So whatever measurement I haven't added here, as we keep going, I'm going to keep calling it out for you, okay? So when I'm drafting this pattern, I start with my neckline measurement, okay? So from A, I'm going to be having 3 inches, okay? So I have 3 inches. I can actually decide to make this the back. So we can actually make this the back and make that the front, whatever you want it to be. So let's say this is our back and I have 3 inches across, 3 inches across neckline, and I have 1 inch down, okay? So I've marked that, and I'm going to turn it into a curve for my neckline. Now this neckline, you can adjust it later on, but we're just starting now, okay? So the next thing you're going to do is take your shoulder divided by 2. So my shoulder is 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches, okay? So I'll leave that there, and I'm going to impute my vertical measurement. So from here, I'm going to be marking my armhole measurement. So I've always said that to get your armhole, you have a formula for it, which has always worked for me, okay? So you take your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you have, you're going to add plus 1 inch for your shoulder slant. That is going to form your armhole measurement, okay? So in my own case, I have 9 inches when I do that calculation, and I'm going to add plus 1 inch, and that is 10, okay? So I'm going to mark 10 at different points. Now what you're using here, this 10 inches, I'm going to use the same thing for the front. So I'm marking everything. I'm marking everything across. The only thing that takes time in this design of outfit is just the pattern making, okay? So I have marked that across. I'm going to actually extend it into a straight line. But before I do that, I would like to mark all of it. Sorry, I needed to shift that to give me space, okay? So the next thing I'm going to mark down. Now, don't forget that your front half length and your back half length is not the same, all right? So in this case, my back half length, my front half length is 19, and my back half length is 17, okay? So I've marked at 17, and then I'm going to also mark my hip depth, which is 9 inches, okay? So I've marked my hip depth, and of course the next thing is the whole length of the dress. So I'm going to mark that at different points. Now these different points I'm marking now for my half length. I'm marking only for the back, please, not for the front. So that is for the back. So I'm going to extend that, and by this doing, my length for the back is going to shift. So I'm going to extend this into a straight line. Now, like I said, the armhole extension is all the way from the front to the back for the armhole. Okay, that was the first marking I did. Please just watch this video over and over again, you'll understand. So, but for the back half length, I'm going to mark only for the back. I'm not marking for the front. Then for my hip depth, I'm marking only for the back. I'm not marking for the front, okay? So here I have my, this is my chest line. I have my waistline. I have my hip line, okay? So I'll now move over to the front to impute those lines as well. Now for the front is different, like I said, because my half length for the front is 19 inches. Okay. So I'm going to mark a 19, and I'll have mark my hip depth, you know. My hip depth is at 28. I'll do the same thing. I'm doing this now so I'm able to have a straight line. Okay. So I'm going to turn that into a straight line. So I just need to reconfirm that for my front. So that's my front. Okay? So now for the length of the dress, obviously there's no how the back also has to be shorter than the front by whatever you have as a difference, which is 2 inches. So I've come up by 2 inches for the back, and I've extended that into a straight line. So this is where the back stops, and this is where the front stops. All right. So we'll continue imputing the things for the back. All right. So now I had done my shoulder divided by 2. Whatever I had, I'm going to impute the same thing on the chest line. So I had 8 inches. I'm imputing 8 inches there as well, and I'll draw a straight line all the way down. Okay. So now I'm going to be marking my shoulder slant. I'm going to come down 1 inch for the back. Okay. And I'll mark. So after marking that 1 inch, I will draw a slant line to meet my neck joining. So can you see that? So that's it. All right. So I'm going to divide my armhole into 2 at this point. So you take a measurement from here to here. I have 9 inches, and I'll mark the middle point, which is 4.5, and I'll come inwards towards me half of an inch. All right. So when you do that, you extend that into a straight line. Then I'll draw a line from the shoulder tip that I slanted down to that half of an inch. That's that. Now I'm meant to do a curve here, but before I do that, I always prefer to, impute my bust measurement. Okay. So my bust measurement is 46 divided by 4 is 11 and a half. Okay. So I'll mark 11 and a half. Okay. So after marking that, it's when I impute the curve, my armhole curve, like the curve for my armhole. My armhole curve, whatever you call it, please. Alright, so you've seen that, alright? So I impute that. So we are actually getting there. Okay. So I'll come to my waistline and I'll impute whatever my waist is, okay, divided by 4, right? So in this case, I don't want a very tight fitted outfit, so I'm using 11. So whatever your waist is, you're going to use it and add 1 inch for if you're going to be having that. You know, it can be a shaped dress, even if you add that or you don't add. So whatever you choose to, you do that. So I've added that to that line, and then you come to your hip line and mark whatever your hip is divided by 4. Okay, so I've done that, and you're going to impute the very same thing you have there at the down part. But because I want mine to be fitted at the down part, I'm going to, from my waistline, this is my waistline, I'm going to mark down 18 inches. Okay, you can actually find what your knee length is and go up 4 inches. But for me, for the waist, from the waist, I'm coming down 18 inches. Okay, so at that 18 inches, I'm going to draw a line. You know, I told you that it's more like a pencil thing for me. Okay, so now whatever you have on your hip line minus 1.5, 1 inches to 1 inch to 1.5, you know, from it to get this part. Okay, I'll be taking 1 inch for myself. I don't want it too overly fitted, so I'm okay with that. So whatever you have there, I have about 11.75. I think I'm okay with that. So whatever you have there, please impute same thing on the down line. So I have the same 11.75 down here. Okay? So I just imputed the same thing, and so it's less, I think about 1.25. That's what I took. But please, you can take 2 inches, like I said. Maybe I just don't want mine too tight, but you're going to have a slit, you know, so it can be tight. And now I'm extending it into straight lines. So see, it's giving me that shape already. So at this point, this is the hip part. You can use your hip curve. At times, I also still use my straight ruler. It depends on how you can manipulate it. Okay. So if you notice, I take out any curvy points. I do this. I place my ruler this way. At this point, any part that you know is like a bit curvy, I take it out. Okay, so most times, to make it not too tight, I take more than my hip measurement. Okay, so let's say I'm working with 12.5, I rather do 13. Okay, so just to make it not too tight. Okay, so I'll now extend this line. So we have formed the shape of our dress. Now remember, I have a dart, so I'm going to impute my dart. So to impute that dart, I'm going to take my bust distance divided by 2. Okay, so my bust distance is 9, divided by 2 is 4.5. I'll impute the same here because I need a straight line up on my chest measurement, and I'll come down 5 inches and also mark my 4.5. Alright, so having done that, I will turn it into a straight line. Right, so at this point, the back, I'll come down 1 inch. You can come down less, it all depends on how much you want the dart to be. So I'll just come down 1 inch. At this point, I'm going to go this way, half an inch. Remember, we added half an inch, 1 inch. When we did our waist divided by 4, we added 1 inch. We are going to take off the 1 inch in form of the dart. Okay, so I'll take half on this way, and I'll take half on this way. Right. and I will turn it into a dart. So you draw your dart legs, close your dart legs. All right, that is just what I am doing now. So voila, my dart leg is closed and our back is almost ready. All right, but I am going to tighten my back so that I don't have any puff. So on the waistline, remember this is our waistline, I'm going to be going in half of an inch to create a back tightening for myself. All right, so once I do that, it helps give me that perfect fitting. I'll extend the line from that half an inch and take it all the way up, and then from here to here, from your waist to your hip, find a midpoint and draw a slant line all the way down, okay, but not to your hip, so it doesn't cut off your hip measurement. So I stopped somewhere in between, okay, so that will give you that curved back. Please, if it's looking like it's pointed, try and curve it. All right, and so this is our CB. Our CB means our center back, okay? So anybody that sees it knows it. Now, I haven't altered the neck yet until I'm done with the front, okay? So we're done with the back. So we're moving over to the front, okay? So for the front, this is going to be my CF, that's my center front at this point. So my CF is my center front. So all my measurement comes from this line, okay? So from the top line, I'm going to be marking in 3 inches for my neckline across, and I'm going to still mark 3 inches for my neckline down, all right? And on the same top line, I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2, which I said was 8. And on my chest line, I'll mark the same result, 8 inches. I'm going to extend it into a straight line, okay? Can you see that? Yeah. All right. So now for my shoulder slant for the front, I'm going to come down 1.5 inches, okay, and draw the line back to my joining of my neck. Remember the front, I did 1 inch. Sorry, the back I did 1 inch. For the front, I'm doing 1.5, and then from my chest line, I'm going to come up 3 inches. Okay. Then I'll go inside away from me. Oops. I'm going to go in 3/4 of an inch. Okay. And I'll turn that into a straight line for you to see. Then just like we joined the back line, just watch what I'm doing and watch it again. You'll get it. I'm going to extend from the shoulder slant line. I've drawn a line down, just like we did for the back, okay? Now, to cut this, I told you I always do it after, but let us curve out our neckline. Now, you see this neckline, I'm going to readjust it when it's time. But first of all, I always prefer to have a basic neckline. So that's my basic neckline of 3 inches by 3 inches, all right? So, on the bust line, you're going to take whatever your bust is, divided by 4. And I said I was using 11.5 in my case. Now, once you mark that, you can now locate where your curve, your armhole curve, is going to be. All right? That's that. Look at how pretty it's looking. Okay, so for the waistline, I'm going to do the same thing. So what's my waist divided by 4? I did 10.5, yeah, 10.5, and I'm going to add 1 inch allowance, all right? So I'm adding 1 inch for my dart intake. You can do more than 1 if you want, okay? So for the hip part, I'm going to take whatever my hip measurement is 12.5, but for the front, I can decide to add a bit more. Like I said, I want to be able to sit down. I don't want it overly tight. I can shape it off whenever I want. Then we did from the waist, we looked for 18 inches. Okay, so I'll do same here from my waist. I'll be looking for my 18 inches so that I can create a fitting before my knee part. Okay. So I'm going to turn it into a straight line, just like I did for the back. I'm going to be taking in less, less than what I have. So I have 12 and a half, and I'm going to be taking off rather 1 inch. So I'm taking like 1¼ inches. Now whatever you have here now is the same thing you're going to have for your dress length. So once you do that, you turn it into a straight line. Now for the back, I can decide to tighten it more than I do. Please, you're a designer, you can do as much as you want. So here I'm having this line coming this way, and here from the waist to this part you can use your curve like we did initially. Okay, don't make it too curvy. Like even if I use my curve this way now to show you, it's looking very curvy here, and I don't want that kind of curve because it's going to give me one funny look by the time I'm done sewing it. So I come here and try to place my ruler to fit into here and here, and I'm going to take off that look, because if I sew it, look at the excess. If I sew it like that, it's going to give me one funny look at this point. So it's always good to just place your ruler, align it, try to align it, and then take it off. Okay, and then complete from your chest, your bust line to your waistline. Okay. Now having done that, I'm going to now impute my dart just like I did for the front, the back. So I did 4.5, I'll mark 4.5. I'll check where my bust height ends because I need that line. So it's good to impute your bust height, at this point. So mine is 11.5. I'm imputing my bust height, right? Your measurement from your shoulder to your nipple point, okay? So please draw it out. It's very, very important to this pattern. Okay? So I've drawn it out. So on that line, you're going to be marking your bust distance. I've done that. Okay? And you can actually mark down, whatever you want. Then here too, you're going to be coming down about 4.5 to 4 inches. You can choose any one that works for you. And I'll just check because I want to make sure that everything is on the same line. Okay? So once I'm sure, I'll extend all of that into a straight line. Okay? And then I'll take out whatever I kept. If you did 3, if you did 1.5 as your dart, please mark out 1.5. All right? So I've done that, and I will now turn it into a dart. Okay, so join up your dart legs and turn it into a dart. So that's what I've done. Okay. So now, if you notice, we're having a difference here. The back is up, the front is down. Whatever difference you're having here, in my own case, is about 2 inches. I'm going to come here to your bust height line, like this is your BP, your bust BH, BP, bust point, whatever you want to call it, okay? And I'm going to mark down 2 inches. The difference, whatever difference I have between my front and my back. So if your half length of the front and the back difference is 1 inch, that is what you're going to have here. If it's 3 inches, is what you're going to have here, okay? So I'll draw my bust dart all the way to my nipple point. Okay. So now why we have this excess is because this dart, if we leave it as it is, we may have a shortage. So I'll mark 1 inch and I'll just draw a line out of 1 inch. I'm just trying to create something here that by the time we close our darts, we're not having any kind of shortage. Okay, so look at what I did. So you can just do what I did and extend your leg. So when we are closing it, we know that we're not having any shortage on that part. Okay, so I can literally say that our front, is kind of done, right? So for the back, like I said I'm going to do a bit of an alteration because our pattern is ready. The next step is going to be how to alter the front. Okay, so I said for the back, if I had chosen to, I would have also at this point shared what I was taking off here. I told you that I would like to take out about 1.5 to 2 inches. So I would have put in my 1/2 inch here and put in my 1 inch here. I can also do that. It's just to give me that bomb effect at the back. So from here, it doesn't even affect anything because like I said, I'm having a dart here. So from there, I put in that, and from my hip, I did that on that 18 inches line. I came down my knee length. Okay, then from the hip, I'll just take the line all the way down, and then this 1/2 inch I created, I will extend it. So I'll extend the 1/2 inch all the way down. I use the blue so you'd also see what I have done. Have you seen that? So I'm having a sort of bomb effect, and if I really want to create a bomb effect, I can. There's another alteration I'll also do at this point to give me that bomb looking effect. Okay, so far we're done with the back. For the back, we can add our allowances and cut it out.